All right, guys, despite this horrible weather, I had to come out here and talk about this. Something new that just got released by Loomis. I've got them in my hands. I've had a chance to field test them a little bit. This is the new NRX Plus rod. Now, 11 years ago, I put my hands on NRX for the very first time, and it is Loomis's flagship rod. Now, on the fly side, they've already brought out NRX Plus, but this is the new bass line that they just brought out. And it's really tough to say because, in my opinion, NRX was one of the best rods on the market. So how do you make the best even better? So let's go through what they've done to these rods, and then I'll do a casting test. I've got a spinning and a casting set up, and we'll see how they perform. So first and foremost, the blank. As you can see here, Spiral X on the new NRX Plus blank. That is a new thing. So that is Shimano's proprietary technology brought into Loomis, much like they did with Conquest, which had Spiral X and High Power X. NRX Plus is made with Spiral X. Spiral X is basically a very thin, high modulus carbon tape that is wrapped up the blank at an angle. There's a center sheet material, and then it comes back down the blank at an opposite angle. So how does that help you? Well, it allows the engineers to use less material, making a lighter rod that is equally strong, if not stronger, than traditional layup properties. The other thing it does, it stops twisting, so it increases torsional rigidity in the blank, and it also stops ovalization, making the blanks more durable and stronger. Really good things. The other thing Spiral X is known for is recovery rate. It has a super crisp, fast recovery rate that's going to help with sensitivity, casting accuracy, hook setting power, and fish fighting power. So the blank, Spiral X, I'm a fan right away. The other thing they've changed is the new CI4 Plus custom designed reel seat. And the big thing about this is a Shimano proprietary material. You've seen it in Vanford, you've seen it in the original Stratic CI4 Plus reels. This is a carbon interfusion, so super strong, incredibly lightweight, very sensitive material that they're doing with a blank through design on the reel seat. And where this is going to help, I mean, obviously the comfort level, when you pick up this rod, it's incredibly comfortable in your hand because they have actually grooved out nice even curves that fit the palm of your hand perfectly. But the other thing is, besides improved ergonomics, it's sensitivity. Okay, this is going to transmit sensitivity from this Spiral X blank incredibly well. When it comes to the guide train, the original NRX kind of broke the mold and went with a hybrid guide train that had SIC guides and then went to recoil, titanium ion coated recoil guides. So this NRX also does the same. So it's got titanium framed Fuji SIC guides for the first few guides, could be 4 guides depending on the rod. It then transfers over to REC components, so REC guides that are titanium as well, so you can bend them. They're small, they're a little bigger than a micro guide, but the big thing is the lightweight. And then every NRX rod finishes off with a titanium framed SIC tip top for durability and everything else. The thing about this hybrid guide train is it's going to give you better balance in the rod. And when you have better balance, that's going to allow less fatigue when you're fishing, more sensitivity, just easier to use, easier to cast, easier to fish in general. Now, the other thing with this new blank is they're using MTD multi-taper design that allows them to create very specific tapers, whether it's extra fast or moderate, but basically designed based on a technique to make sure that you as an angler are going to be able to inflict the most action or proper technique and fighting of the fish as it gets near the boat. The blanks themselves, 28 models, 16 casting, 12 spinning. There are the traditional JWR jig worm rods, but there's also MBR and SJR, both casting and spinning. The casting rods in the MBR series you're going to see have a full cork grip. The JWR and SJR rods are going to have a split grip, just like these two do. This is a JWR casting, okay? Split grip. The other thing they've done is they come in with 5 technique-specific rods. So they have a bladed jig rod, which is casting, a Carolina rig rod, which is casting, and then they have a Ned rod spinning. They have a drop shot 822 DSR, which everyone would expect from NRX, and then a shaky head spinning rod as well. So those are the specs of the new NRX Plus. Why don't we go to the casting, because I have played with and field tested the spinning rod. I have the 902 set up here that I used the other day on the lake, but I haven't touched the casting rod. So let's do some casting with it and I'll give you my overall impression. All right, so I've got a 1/2 ounce top water tied onto this. I've got a Metanium Core Solid reel, as you can see here. I've got it set on number 3. I'm going to put it on just middle of the road for the SVS Infinity braking. And I got it spooled up with 30-pound Max Quattro Power Pro. So let's do some casting. I'll give you my impressions of it. I've got a runway here of about 200 feet to the back, so this gives me plenty of room. So come on over here. All right, so I've got my brake, my spool tension set pretty loose, as you could tell. Lots of spin, so let's give this a whirl. Wow. Okay, that's at the back of the place. So one thing I'm noticing right away with this, the new NRX Plus, is that Spiral X blank is absolutely has that faster recovery rate. It's crisp, it's not sloppy feeling at all. That cast was easily in the 200-foot range. It would have gone right to the back. So let's bomb one more out there. Number 2.5 here, just give it a little bit of less and see what we could do with it. Wow. That's over the fence in the back. Okay, this is 30-pound Max Quattro. I just cast it off half the spool of it. So the rod itself, incredibly crisp. Let me just get this over the fence that's at the back. All right, here it comes. And very good balance. So my first reaction is with this JWR rod, this one is a 853, so it's a medium heavy JWR, so 7'1" medium heavy rod. Perfect combination, super lightweight, you don't even feel it in your hand. And what you're gonna notice is the actions in these rods, incredibly fast, so they're gonna do their job. So let's grab that spinning rod, see how it handles light stuff. All right, so probably one of my favorite rods that NRX had was the 901 and 902 JWRs. This is the 902 SJR, so spin jig rod. I've got it rigged up with an 1/8 ounce jig head and a small plastic. This is what I was using the other day to fish perch with. This rod feels incredibly light in your hand. The first time I picked it up, I'm like, ooh, it feels softer, but it's not. When you load this rod up, it's got all the power in the world. It just feels incredibly light in your hand. So one of the big things for me is casting the way a rod loads. So that recovery rate we talked about, I've got this paired up with a Vanford 2500, and I've got 5-pound Power Pro with an 8-pound fluorocarbon leader, and like I said, an 1/8 ounce jig head. So let's see how we can cast this to see how this rod loads. So you can hear the snap and crispness of that blank as soon as I fire that cast out. That cast is well over 120 feet away. So we're gonna reel this up quickly. The beauty of the Vanford having a 35 to 37 inches of line per handle turn. Let's fire it one more time and see where we go. Yeah, you can hear it still going, and it just stopped. So very, very good performance when it comes to this SJR series. I mean, the rods are unbelievable performing. One thing I will tell you guys, not everybody is going to be able to just say, I want a bunch of NRXs. This is not a rod for everybody. This is a high-end rod. It's Loomis's most expensive offering, but it does have some technological upgrades. Is it better than what I consider to be one of the best rods in the market? In my opinion, absolutely. Here comes the rain. It's gonna rain on my parade here, but I'll tell you guys this. Check out the new NRX Plus when you can get your hands on them. It is an incredible redesign. Lots of power, lots of techniques available. It's just a great rod. And do me a favor, guys, subscribe to this. I do these gear reviews all the time, and I love talking about new gear, and hopefully I can show you guys something new that you haven't seen yet.